Gold and silver are as good as real money, aren't they? We can use them to buy whatever we want. Well, perhaps not in this modern world that we live in of digital currencies and bank cards, but it certainly makes me look to gold and silver a lot more when my bank decides to tell me that I can't buy anything from the Royal Mint. It was just ridiculous. So today, let's have a good old rant and ramble about the ineptitude of the banking system and what the alternatives might actually be with gold and silver. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for another precious metal ramble. Now today I want to talk about the ineptitude of the banking system. I recently tried to purchase some gold coins from the Royal Mint and my bank said no. And I went through all the fraud checks and they still said no. So to this day, right now with filming, I can't buy from the Royal Mint with that particular bank. So it got me thinking about like the whole point of gold and silver, the alternative, taking your money out of the system and becoming your own bank. But of course this means nothing because the world is run on fiat currency. And whilst I will concede that maybe one day this stuff will be in a barter economy quite useful, I just don't see the world ever going that way. So what's the point? What's the practicality of this stuff? And what can we do to potentially avoid the stupidity of the banking system? So let's start there with the stupidity of the banking system, and a quick reminder before we dive into a good old ramble to smash that like button if you are enjoying our video and content. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. So I went to the Royal Mint's website to buy some more of these sovereigns. I wanted a set in the blister packs. So this is one that I took out of the blister pack because it came and there was a big smear on it. I didn't quite like it. So I went and I put some coins into my basket. I even put 2 silver coins in to show them on the channel, as much as it begrudges me to even buy them with VAT and high premiums. But I wanted to do it and went to check out and it said no. So I think it's a bit weird. I've got money in the account. Why isn't that going through? Anyway, I got a text message from my bank saying, we need to check if this is genuine. Can you confirm this transaction? And I said, yes, in the reply to the text, as you always do with these things. And that's fine. I don't mind fraud prevention. It's a good thing. It keeps people safe and it protects people. That's fantastic. I'm very happy with that. So I then went back to the Royal Mint's page and I tried again. And the same thing happened. It blocked my card. So I tried again and again and again. I tried with different cards from different accounts. Now to put in context, I'm not naming and shaming the bank right now because I don't think it's appropriate. It can happen to any bank, quite frankly, but you know, I haven't had a full resolution. I put in a complaint about it, so I haven't had a full resolution yet. So I tried different bank cards. I have a Premier account with this bank as well. So it's my like prime bank account where the vast majority of my money goes through. And I have my business account with the same bank. So, you know, it's no small amount of money that goes through these, and I have a Premier account. So you would think maybe that's worth something, but absolutely not. Kept on failing. None of the accounts were working through that bank. Eventually, after like half an hour, I got a phone call from the bank's fraud department. Fine, okay, maybe there's something a bit wrong. Let's sort it out on the phone and we can get on over this and move forward. And I spent about 20 minutes going through all of these silly fraud questions about my bank history. And the hilarious thing is that the particular bank account that I use to buy from the Royal Mint, I have used a lot. Put it this way, there's a lot of transactions in the history. And it's pretty much only that account that I use for the Royal Mint. It's easier for me to do my accounting, to see what I bought and when, for how much. And I find that a lot easier. So, they were going through the transaction history and they said, was this purchase here for £389 for a genuine? It's like, yeah, that was me with the Royal Mint. And then they went back one more. And this one for £5,725. And that, of course, is for the 5-coin sovereign set that I bought about 3-4 weeks ago. And it was like, yeah, this new transaction here today, £1,600, it's no small sum of money, but why is this one being flagged up and a £5,725 transaction wasn't flagged up? I think it's hilarious. Anyway, so we went through all of that and everything, and I came out the other side of it and was like, right, okay, so they said everything should be fine now, you can try again. I said, well, with all due respect, I'm just going to try whilst you're on the phone because I'm not sure it's going to work. And they said, that's fine. So I went straight onto the Royal Mint's website and I placed the order and the same thing happened. It got blocked. So the call handler on the other side of the phone was a little bit like, oh, well, hang on, that's a bit weird. Why has that happened? And they put me on hold for about another 10, 15 minutes. And they came back and they said, well, we can't really explain it other than that the algorithm in the background, so in other words, the computer, has said no. And I said, well, but I'm on the phone with you and I'm saying yes. Let me spend my money. Why can't I spend my money? Oh, we can't change the outcome of the computer. It's decided that it could be a fraudulent transaction. And I was like, I'm telling you that it's not. And I said, well, sometimes these different, like the raw mint is, of course, for precious metals and bullion and coins and things. So the computer thinks that maybe sometimes it can be targeted for fraudulent purposes. All right. I am literally on the phone with you right now, sorting this out. Let me spend my money. What's the point in banking with you, especially in a premium bank account, if I can't spend my money with you? And the call handler had no answer to that question. That's at what point I put in the complaint. I said, look, I don't mind these fraud prevention questions. I don't mind doing the two-factor authentication on my app, which can be a little bit of a pain sometimes, but it's absolutely fine. I get it. I understand that you're there to protect customers, and it's a great thing to do. But what I don't understand is when I have been contacted by the bank and I'm telling you that this is a genuine transaction and that everything is fine, I'm not being pressured to do it by some scammer. I have a proven track record of buying from that retailer as well, and the computer saying no. That's what I have a problem with. That is restricting my liberties to spend my money how I will. And I don't like that at all. I was quite PO'd about it, quite frankly. So with all the sort of care and respect to the call handler, because it's not that individual's fault, I said, look, I need this to be escalated to a complaint. I think it's pretty awful. And I said, especially so because whilst I was on the call with them, I transferred the cash from my bank to a different bank account that I have with a different bank altogether, and went through and placed the order. And lo and behold, straight through after just one quick text, when you get your online text OTP, one-time passcode, whatever it is, to authenticate the payment. Done. And I kind of didn't expect that to happen because it was with a bank account that I've opened solely to get access to one of these regular saving accounts that you can get. And it's with, you get like a 7% saving account if you have a current account with them. So I open the current account, I don't use it, never have it. It's literally the first transaction it's ever done. And the first one is a £1,600 payment to the Royal Mint. No problems. So I said to this call handler for my main bank, I said, well, look, this is making me very, very strongly consider leaving your bank because if I can't spend my money, what is the point in banking? Now, the hilarious thing is that she said, well, you can try again in a few days. And I said, what do you mean in a few days? He said, well, the computer will have it, basically blocked for at least 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours, to be fair, she said. And I was like, well, that's just ridiculous. And also, there's no guarantee that in 48 to 72 hours, when I finally get access to use that account again on that particular retailer, that I would be able to, and it would block it again. So she had no answer to that. That's why I've, again, enhanced it to a complaint, which I found ridiculous. So, it is one of those things where I get that fraud prevention is important. I get that it's, important for people to be protected, and there are vulnerable people out there that fall victim to scams a lot of the time. But it really does annoy me when when you've just rung up and gone, yep, it's me, it's genuine, everything's fine, let's go, and then they say no, and they can't do it. That's refusal of service, and it's just not acceptable. Now, the hilarious thing is that we as customers have basically no recourse against this. And I said, look, well, is there somebody, I hate to be that guy, but can I speak to your manager? I didn't want to be a Kevin. Was that the equivalent of a male Karen? I don't know. Anyway, I didn't want to be that guy, but I had to be that guy, quite frankly, because it really annoyed me that I wasn't able to spend my money, especially when I could do it with another bank. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll sort of do a follow-up on that if I ever get any sort of, idea from the bank exactly why that happened. It's currently been 48 hours since that happened, and I haven't had any resolution or any kind of feedback from them. So I'm not going to hold my breath, but I will follow up with them in a few days if I haven't heard anything. But I think it's silly. So what are the alternatives? What are the alternatives? Now, we talk about silver and gold being the banking system for your own self. You can take your money out of that banking system and rely on your gold and silver. But quite frankly, unless there's like a global collapse where you really are bartering with your gold and silver for food and medicine, there is no practical use for gold and silver at all. Certainly not going down to the shops and buying. No retailer is going to take it. It's just, unless you've got a private little business that has a gold and silver bug as its owner that's happy to take payment in form of gold and silver, I don't think it's very practical at all. Now, yes, there are arguments to be had that the gold and silver outside of the banking system makes it easier. If you need to just go and cash it in, you can go and take it somewhere and you can get that cash a lot more quickly. And there's been a lot of commentary on that kind of topic lately. That's potentially the only viable option, in my opinion, for like usable gold and silver in economy. You have to really kind of cash it out somehow very quickly. Can be a bit more difficult than some people think, and you might not get the best prices if you do that quickly to certain businesses. So certainly worth thinking about in that sense. So in most cases, I'd say this stuff is next to useless when it comes to being your own bank and actually using it in real world, real life right now, unfortunately. But there are definitely, of course, other benefits for gold and silver. As I said in previous videos, it's all about wealth protection over the long term, and that's something definitely not to be ignored. Now, the last thing I will say in terms of the real sort of world fiat currency banking system that we're in and how we can mitigate things like this, I have different bank accounts with many different banks, and whilst it can be a bit of a pain sometimes to keep track of them, it's not difficult in the long run. You just have a giant spreadsheet with all the different accounts, so I know what I've got, where I've got it. I don't tend to keep, I literally will keep £1 in most of these bank accounts to have them open. I will have the current account, I will have the bank cards for them, so that I can at a pinch. And so this is one of the things that a few YouTubers have talked about. The ability to get cash quickly is very difficult from a bank. And if you go into the bank, they might not give you more than a couple of £100. So I have multiple different bank accounts where I can instantly transfer cash from one singular bank account to each of them. And then I can use 5 or 6 different current account bank cards to get out £250 or £300 cash per card in an emergency. That's pretty much, I think, what we need to do in this world. We need to diversify and not rely on one particular bank, especially if you have all been hearing some of the other news out there. Whilst I completely, and I don't like to get political on this channel, but I really don't like the chap, Nigel Farage, who, for those who maybe don't know, is kind of quite a right-wing politician here in the United Kingdom, so he was the guy who spearheaded sort of Brexit campaigns and things like that. But whilst I don't agree with him politically, I don't like the fact that he has just recently had his bank accounts just completely closed for no reason. So interesting times, I think, in this world, and it is important, I think, to maybe have as many different options out there as possible if you are a private citizen wanting to just go about your normal life. So if there was a situation where maybe it's not from the raw mint, it's a bit of a first world problem. Oh no, my bank won't let me buy lots of big shiny gold coins. The point here is if your bank decides no, or if your bank is quite frankly crap and doesn't let you buy something. I had another example from it was like 6-7 years ago. We needed to buy a new fridge. Our fridge died. So we went to a shop to buy a fridge. It was a big shop. I'm not going to name it because I don't know if there are other shops available in the world. But anyway, we went to this giant chain that is well known in the UK and went to buy the fridge. Went through the bank card with, it was Santander. I don't mind talking about this one because it was fairly obviously crap. And the bank just said no, and they said their excuse was it's an unusual transaction. It's like, well, of course it's unusual. You're buying a fridge. How often do you buy a fridge in your life? A couple of times every decade if you're very unlucky, if not once every 25 years sometimes. So it's like, well, how can you prove a track record of buying fridges when you buy it once every 20 years? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, so we had that bank card completely blocked for like a week trying to sort that problem out. And eventually, again, we just use a different bank card. But it's just one of those impracticalities of the modern banking system. And I will finish with my last little opinion piece on this. And I feel very strongly about this because I think it's really awful, the world of the banking systems right now. What I will say is that the fraud prevention stuff is really important. I've said that already. But what I don't like and what I don't agree with is when everything is right and above board and you are there ready to go and you've proved everything is above board, you're still told no. That's the crux of it. And that is just, it's just ludicrous in my opinion. The banks can get away with that. And hopefully this kind of video talking about this feedback will get people to really think about their own bank and how reliant they perhaps are. If you only have one bank, you bank with just the singular bank, what happens if your bank details are stolen? What if they put a flag on your system because they think you're being fraudulent? You know, the call handler said to me that sometimes computers will block accounts from spending anywhere because they think that there might be some, you know, risk of it being, some fraudulent activity. And if it's genuine, they just put you on a cooling off period until maybe things have calmed down. And if you needed that money in a pinch, if you needed to spend something, buy a train ticket or do something with your bank card, or God forbid, just, buy food if you're in an emergency situation, or shelter, like you're away and you need a hotel or something, like stranded, it's not worth thinking about in my mind. So I always have multiple options on me. Don't yet carry around gold and silver with me for those last options, but that's the way it is. Anyway, that's like my that's my ramble for today about the ineptitude of the banking system. I'll keep you up to date. It'd be great to hear if any of you guys have had any issues like this with retailers like the Royal Mint or any other bullion dealers. It would be interesting to hear your thoughts and opinions on this particular situation. If you have sympathy for the bank, or if you're working within a bank, within a fraud team, it would be great to hear from you as well as to your opinions on this. Is that normal that a computer will just lock you out from a particular retailer for like 72 hours? I think it's pretty crap, quite frankly, and you'll have to excuse the mild language at the end there, but it really is. So anyway, that's it from me. We'll see you next time. A big thank you to all my ramblers out there for watching to the end of this video. If you are a rambler, then you're in the Super Cool Kids Club, and I really do appreciate you sticking around. Great to hear from you specifically down in the comment section. Otherwise, that's it from me. We'll see you on the next video. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.